Ho, 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 hello, and welcome into Guerilla Sports Off Ice Christmas Week edition here. And this episode is brought to you guys by Trusted American Mortgage. Trusted American salary-based mortgage consultants want to help you get into a better interest rate and lower your monthly payment. Go to trustedamerican.com to see how much money they can save you today. Hello and welcome in.
Please do not leave your luggage unattended on the station.
Welcome to the show. Hello and welcome to the show, Guerilla Sports Off Ice Monday edition, Christmas week edition. We got a fun show planned for you guys today. We're going to talk a little bit about what happened last night at Ball Arena. The Avs played in their final game before the Christmas break. Another Avalanche player named one of the 3 stars of the week. Talk a little bit about, we're going to check the temperature of where the team is at today, given that they started 0-4. We've had to do a lot of shows where it feels like there's had to be some talking off the ledge. We're going to check in and see where everything is at. And yes, it is the return of the player ranking pyramid on today's episode of Guerilla Sports Off Ice. I'm joined by 2 of my favorite people ever, Meghan Angley, Chloe Theil. And before I ask you guys how you're doing or give you a chance to say anything, I got to say thank you to both of you guys for holding it down for me over the weekend. I got stuck in California for about a half day longer than was planned. And you guys, it was a better product because I wasn't there and it was just you two. So big thank you to both of you. And I am going to give an extra special shout out to Chloe. Chloe got up to 7 Brew with about 45 minutes notice. I hit up Chloe and I was like, hey, this plane is returning to the terminal. I am not getting out of here in time to get back home. And she was like, I'm on it. I'm getting ready. Had some car trouble and still made it happen. So Chloe, if we had a pyramid ranking for this week, you would be at the top.
Stop.
You would be at the tippy top. So big thank you to you guys.
Okay. This is the best moment of my entire life. And shout out to Meghan because she drove out of her way to pick me up and bring me to Firestone. And then Blake drove me all the way home. So it worked out.
It was not out of my way.
Oh, good.
You're always on the way, Chloe.
You're always on the way.
But no, for real,
pumping my tires.
Thank you very much to you guys. And Chloe, you were the MVP of that event for sure. Coming up so clutch.
It was very, very fun.
At the last minute. I'm glad to hear that.
You'll have to go back sometime soon.
Oh, for sure.
I loved it there.
I was already telling Blake, like, we gotta get back up there. You guys got a beautiful afternoon for it too.
Oh,
Yes,
yeah,
the weather
it
was
was
perfect.
so
Some
nice.
people came to say hi. So
That was
shout
what I
out
heard.
to Charles, Brooke, and Michaela.
Charles, Brooke, and Michaela. Thank you guys.
I can't wear this. I'm sweating.
Okay. I was gonna ask if it was too itchy.
Do you want to wear it? You can try it.
I got my 7 Brew hat on.
You can wear
I'll
both.
throw it on. But yes, thank you to you guys. Big time. Let's get my Santa hat situated here. Leave my 7 Brew hat right here.
It's like
Oh,
a talking stick.
perfect.
Actually,
Yes,
whoever
yes.
wears the hat gets to speak.
Yeah, gets to speak.
Just pass it around the entire time.
How are you guys doing?
Good. It's almost
Good.
Christmas. I'm very excited.
A little stressed.
Yeah, the new year is a little weird.
Weird?
A little weird.
Yeah.
Why is it weird?
Every new year is weird because, like, I just think about how it's almost 2025 and I'm like, 2025?
Yeah.
Like, that's crazy.
I did see a thing yesterday that said in just a few days, the year 2000, Y2K, was a quarter of a century ago.
Whoa.
A quarter of a century.
Quarter.
I love Y2K.
Is 2025 the bangs of all the years?
I would say
hope those aren't
2020 is the
my
bangs of
phones.
all the years.
Those were definitely bangs.
Those were like, ooh, and you got bad bangs. So you got bangs that didn't fit your personality either.
Those were bad bangs.
That was 2020. All right. Well, I'm also going to give a big shout out to you, Meghan, before we get into everything.
Please don't.
Miss Eagles over here. All
Yeah.
over.
It's
Eagles
so good.
Eagles broadcast. Meghan was up. Guerilla Sports was up at Colorado Eagles for the second time in the last week. And Megan did the intermission in-house interview and the on-ice interview. Guerilla and the Eagles to the moon, Megan.
I'd also like to thank all my family and friends who've supported me along the way.
You're welcome. We are your friends.
Thank you,
Yes.
friends and family.
Wow, you're so welcome for everything we did to get you there.
Yeah. Guys, let's get into it here. I do want to start with last night. The Avs win 5-2. Oh my gosh, we got a super chat here. Super chat up on the board. Hurricane Teabag. It's been a minute since we've chatted with Hurricane.
Yeah.
But good to see you up there. $4.99 from Hurricane. Feels like the Avs are doing the little things again, and they're winning more. Is this to say they need to do all the small things? Yes, that typically with this Avalanche team, the way they play, the way it's built, funnily enough, it usually does come down to the small things, the small details that do make or break the Avs on any given period, shift, game, 10-game segment, whatever. It usually is the small details. You guys have heard me reference it a bunch. Josh Manson told me it's all just work ethic based. It's all the small things. Not all the small things were happening for a full 60 last night. I loved the first period. Felt like the Avs came off the gas in the second. We're able to find it again there in the third period, break through a tie. You two were in the building. Broad strokes, thoughts on what we saw last night?
Kevy!
No more analysis needed.
That's it.
I thought you said Kevin for a second.
No, that's unfortunate. I did not say that. Those are my only thoughts are I love Kivy. #. And I tweeted it last night and you had no response. Is there a little bit of embarrassment there?
No. I mean, look, I'm not trying to like rain on anybody's parade. 3 goals, 2 of them were empty netters.
I understand.
Let's loved the one-timer. Loved the play off the rush there. Looks like a guy who's playing with some confidence right now.
Okay, that's very nice.
Yeah.
And waiting for you to say
was
the
game-winning goal.
Career year. He's doing great. He's doing great. Let's not act like if this team had all the healthy bodies back, he wouldn't be in the conversation for 13th forward.
He'd be on the 4th line.
I think he would too.
Parker Kelly?
No.
Because at full health, and I'm assuming Gabe Landeskog when I say full health.
Okay.
You only get one of Parker or Kivy. And for me, it's Parker Kelly right now.
Are you including Miles Wood?
I am.
Because I would play Kivy over Miles Wood.
Who is
Woo! That's a hot take, but it's not white hot. I don't know if I necessarily need oven mitts for it, but it's a little like, ooh. I'm with you though.
Who's
Kivy,
everyone
if you're
back in the
listening?
lineup though?
Wood, Landy, Drouin.
Everyone.
Everyone.
Oh man.
Which
doesn't feel realistic.
Don't even know if we'll get there. There's
Not
a scenario.
specifically the Landeskog part. It's just somehow the combination of all of it together is what feels
100%.
unrealistic.
And I would even say there's like a half decent chance that 2 or 3 of those guys don't come back this season. So, but I'm just saying if you inserted,
that's a hot take.
Yeah. I'm just saying if you dropped all 3 of those guys back into the lineup, you're only getting one of Parker Kelly or Yoel Kiviranta. And as dope as those 2 empty netters were, I'm taking Parker Kelly right now still.
Oh.
And that is not an indictment on Kiviranta.
But I don't think you have to choose Parker Kelly or Kiviranta. I think it's more realistically something like, is Miles Wood healthy? He's month to month right now.
Totally.
Kivi's fine.
Totally.
Don't pick our children. You asked me to pick my favorite child, and I also love Parker Kelly.
If the 2 of them were hanging off of a cliff, who would you save?
I would jump off the cliff. I solved the trolley problem.
Oh, that's perfect.
So, all right. Aside from Kivy, thoughts on last night? Because I did think I thought that was maybe their strongest first period that we've seen in a while. But there was also a lull there where it felt like a tired Seattle team was able to flip the script a bit in the middle part of that game and push back. Or does it start and end with Kivy?
I still feel Kivy is a huge part in this story. I think Mackenzie Blackwood is another part of it. Interestingly, I didn't love the first period. I think it's okay. I hate the McCann goal. And so I look at that first period as, okay, Mackenzie Blackwood is not the reason they were going to win this game coming out of the first period, but he also wasn't the reason they were going to lose it. And I think that is such a refreshing change. And his performance on the whole through the games he's drawn into has also been good. So I'm cool with Mackenzie Blackwood. Process-wise, they were doing some things right, but also considering Seattle was on the second leg of their back-to-back, maybe that's where I'm looking at the Avs just a tiny bit more critically through a fine-tooth comb. But love that they convert on the power play. That first power play did some great things. Second one, the one that they convert on, I love that they made adjustments from the first to the second that allows them to capitalize on that opportunity. Cale Makar has been such an important conduit of the offense they're creating on the power play lately. So an okay first period. Second period, though, the Kakko goal right off the faceoff, I'm not really faulting anyone for that. That's just kind of hard to contend with. And that's where Nichushkin goal and then Kiviranta goal kind of swing this game completely in Colorado's favor. And from that point on, I think it doesn't really slip from their grasp. And I like that. I like that they string together 3 wins too. There's something about them getting the points going into the break from that Seattle game that it doesn't feel like I want to assess it through just an individual game lens, but rather the significance of them winning 3 is sort of my bigger takeaway.
I was going to say too, I loved the way they adjusted because of that second goal. Also, can I call him Capo Kakinen? Because this is so similar.
Yeah,
it's
I know.
Crazy to me that they have basically the same name.
Well, because and even like when you'd hear it on the broadcast, it'd say Kakko, and you're like,
and
keep going.
Right.
Yeah.
Agreed. Confusing.
But after that, they didn't let, Seattle take the game from them, and it kind of turned in their direction because Val was able to come back so quickly with the next goal. And I think the adjustments were a huge part of this. And then by the end of it, Seattle just couldn't hold on.
Great special teams again, another great penalty kill. And then in the third period is where Mackenzie Blackwood at that point, he was getting the goal support. They weren't going to lose that game, but he was still coming up with important saves that we might gloss over because they were going to win this game. But that's what I like about Mackenzie Blackwood is even though his individual game coming out of the first period doesn't necessarily wow you, he still improved too, even though the team was doing impressive things in front of him.
You said, Chloe, that the Kraken couldn't hang on. I liked the fact that it's a team coming on a back-to-back, 3 games in 4 nights, and the Avs understood and took advantage of that and stayed on the gas, knew they had 4 or 5 days coming up, 4 or 5 days off coming up, and said, there's nothing to save this effort for. And they went out and stepped on the throat a little bit in that third period. Like, you're not getting back into this game. We know you're tired. We know you're playing at altitude. We know you guys just want to get home. You're not getting back into this game. And that was the part that I really liked from the Avalanche, was just that championship mentality of, all right, the door is shut on this game. We're taking our 2 points and we're getting out of here. And it does feel like there have been multiple times this season where the Avs have let up and let teams back into games. Even if they've come out of those games winning, they've let teams back in, and it's turned into this crazy scramble in the last 90 seconds to preserve a win, guys having to sell out to block shots and all this stuff. The Avs, yes, they got 2 empty netters, but they put themselves in a position where they had a lead, and then those really were just insurance goals. That was what I really liked about it as the game went on, to your point of like Seattle tried to push and just couldn't do it.
And it being at home too. I think that was such a big part of it, that they were able to come back and like secure that win at home. Because I know we talked about that on Friday, was we want to see their winning percentage at home go up in the new year. And I think it's good that they were able to come back off of that road trip and get that win.
I love it. Anything else from last night in particular?
No, because I feel like by itself, maybe not something we need to spend a lot of time talking about, but it will lend itself to the pyramid when we get to it. There are things I like individually from that game, not just Kiviranta, but outside of him too.
Me too.
Agreed.
All right. Well, we will circle back to that then. Cale Makar named the first star of the week in the NHL. I do believe, and I'm gonna double check to see if we've got an exact stat out here really fast before I say this. All right, don't have an update on it yet, but I'm gonna fire off a text message to see if I can get an exact number. I do believe this is 3 weeks in a row the Avs have had one of the league's 3 stars, and they've had many
3 weeks or 3 months.
This was star of the week.
This was week. Okay.
Yes. And I do believe, to that point, I do believe Nathan MacKinnon is the reigning first star of the month for November. The Avs top players have been all over the headlines, all over the leaderboards all season, despite the ups and downs. I just want your guys' thoughts on, we're seeing something special out of this top group of guys. I know people at different points this season have gotten frustrated with Cale at certain points, maybe not looking like himself. Mikko Rantanen went through a drought a little bit there in the earlier part of the season. And I've even seen people criticizing Nathan MacKinnon in recent weeks. They just keep chugging along. They are among the league's elite. They're at the top of every leaderboard. And it seemed like the NHL cannot go more than 7 days right now without saying one of these guys from Colorado has been one of the most outstanding players in the league.
Yeah, like keying in on Cale Makar specifically, tied for the goal lead among all defensemen. The points pace has been impressive all year long, and he's put himself in top 5, top 10 points lead conversations among all skaters, generally speaking. But I also attribute a lot of their success, which I'm going to put asterisks around, on the power play recently. I attribute that to him in a lot of ways. It has run through him. They now have 4 power play goals in the last 3 games, 3 straight games of being able to convert on the power play after it was nearing the league worst in the month of December. I think Cale Makar, they're utilizing him, trusting him, and resetting too, because a lot of teams can counter the pass to the point in Cale Makar being on that top unit, but they're finding ways with their speed and their hunger on the power play to counter then what teams are expecting from them. And so I know predictability comes up, but I just think Cale Makar is like a cheat code in that way, that even though there might be things that you expect from him on the power play, that unit is working so well alongside him. I think that's where some of the success is coming from. And so I like them returning to things that have brought them success, even if it does feel predictable at times. Cale Makar is just so good at what he does. That's why they're able to convert on the man advantage.
So much to say about Cale that I don't want to say it here.
I know, you're right.
I'm going to save it for the pyramid. But the point that I keep thinking about is that when the Avs were not doing well and when the entire fan base was frustrated about what this team was doing, you'd look at the stats and you'd have 3 or 4 guys up there like leading the NHL. And I think that just goes to show that this team may be frustrating and maybe not doing well, but you still have those key players that are doing such great things.
It's what's made the depth contributions this week, all jokes aside, Kivi Ranta, Parker Kelly, like it's what's underscored them so much is you've gotten so much production, elite level production out of those top guys that when you see the complementary scoring come in, I mean, it is a little bit like how do you stop them when the depth is clicking? And again, let's even take out the 2 empty netters from last night. To your point earlier, Megan, that's a game-winning goal. Let's go back to the night before. Parker Kelly. It's a shorthanded goal to get them on the board. Go back another night. And coincidentally, it's Kivi Ranta, there too. But again,
it's not a coincidence.
Well, but I was going to say was like, if you go back another game, it's Logan O'Connor. If you go back another, they're getting these depth contributions. They're not needing to score 3 goals a night from that depth, but they're getting the big contributions from them at the right time. And you just add that into what we are seeing out of guys like Cale Makar, Nathan MacKinnon, Mikko Rantanen. It's no wonder that they are now suddenly 8 of their last 10 and, yada, 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 sitting 2 points clear of the Dallas Stars for 3rd in the Central Division. That's why, because this depth is coming in and supporting the elite level play that we're seeing from the top guys.
You look at the New Jersey game, one of the best teams in the East, and depth scoring is a huge part of that story. And I don't think it's a coincidence. I do think it is all a chain reaction. it feels like a cycle too, because it's not like it starts at goaltending. Goaltending's just a part of this cycle, but the confidence that they have in net gives Jared Bednar a little more trust to deploy his lines a little more evenly, at least 1 through 3. And so that takes a little bit of pressure in minutes off the top line and gives him a little bit more trust to utilize that third line. They bring a lot of energy, momentum, have been very consistent. That allows them to make more of an impact than offensively. There's more opportunities for them to do so. And I think just having some consistency in playing with each other night in, night out has also given them a little bit more opportunity to get dangerous. And so I think it all relates to each other. I think that's why, too, the stars can just be the stars and be the top guys. That's why it was crucial for them to figure out the power play, because they've had some of the responsibility to be the only ones producing 5v5 taken off their shoulders because they are getting depth scoring. So there are no excuses. They need to be converting that on the power play. But I think it all works together.
I completely agree. And that actually segues us quite nicely into the next thing I wanted to talk about. This goaltending has changed everything about the trajectory of this season, the confidence in the room, Jared Bednar's ability to coach differently, deploy players that he wants to. And well, golly jeepers, gee whiz, these new goalies get into town and suddenly they've got the best penalty kill in the league. That doesn't feel overly coincidental. We sat on this show talking about the Scott Wedgwood trade, and there were so many people on Twitter in the chat. I even remember, Chloe, you talking about it on this show, like this move, doesn't make any sense. Does this fix everything? I don't necessarily know if Juuse Saarinen for Scott Wedgwood in particular changed everything, but that was absolutely the first domino to fall in everything changing for this year's Avalanche team. I was trying to find it, and I ran out of time on just going through and doing the math myself. But I wanted to get an update after last night because people were sharing the monthly splits for team save percentage for the Avalanche, and the difference is astronomical. But I will quote this tweet here from our good friend Raj from Altitude, good friend of the show. This was put out this morning, so yesterday's numbers are accounted for. Since the minute Scott Wedgwood relieved Alexander Georgiev midway through period 1 on December 3rd at Buffalo, when Alexander Georgiev gave up 4 goals, the Colorado Avalanche owned the best team save percentage in the league, currently sitting at a .935, and in those games they are 8-3. It's amazing what a difference some average, or in this case, above average goaltending can make.
It feels pretty above average.
Right. 893 is well above average, just to be clear.
Well, and like when you look at the individual
935. What the hell did I just say?
I'm going to pretend you did, and I was like, it's definitely better.
I said that number out loud, and my brain processed it like 5 seconds delayed. 935 is well above league average. I apologize.
But that also was sort of above average from Georgie, wasn't it?
Jeez.
So for the Avs, it is above average.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
But even league-wide, to have that from your tandem, I don't want to get ahead of myself in where players are ranked in our pyramid, but Scott Wedgwood has been better than expected. The Avs have gotten more in him than maybe they anticipated, needed, wanted. And I think that's something we shouldn't understate. It's not that Mackenzie Blackwood hasn't been what they need. He's been what they need. He's as advertised. He's excellent. But Scott Wedgwood, going back to coming in as relief in that Buffalo game, made everyone on the ice better. Players who started badly in that game became impact players. Players like Calvin DeHaan, who made mistakes early, got invigorated by the competitiveness that he's brought to this team. Scott Wedgwood and Mackenzie Blackwood together, what they've done to turn this team around. You're right. It is huge.
Scott Wedgwood told us 2 nights ago in Anaheim, because the team got off to a slow start. And he said, hey, look, sometimes the boys are going to need 20 minutes to get settled into the game. And he said, I'm never going to point fingers. I'm never going to blame it on someone else. Last night, Jared Bednar said that about the attitude that Mackenzie Blackwood has. Not going to point fingers. It's nobody else's fault. He needs to, he feels like he needs to make the save. And look, I'm not sitting here saying, I know Alexander Georgiev was calling everybody out, but I can tell you this right now. There were some temperament things with Alexander Georgiev that rubbed guys the wrong way.
You've seen it. You've seen
We've
it on
seen
the
it.
ice with wasn't it Malinsky?
It was Malinsky as a rookie last year.
Something, and a goal went like through his legs or something, and he like tapped Malinsky and
Tap
and
is
said
a nice way
something.
of putting that.
I was trying.
It
to
was
be
a
nice.
full-on smack, and that's you just don't hit people when they make
You
mistakes.
just don't hit our boy Sam Malinsky.
Well, then, like a lot of stick smashing, a lot of yelling,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of frustration. We even talked that night, Megan, when he was on the bench in Buffalo as Scott Wedgwood went in.
Losing
Losing his mind a little bit, throwing stuff around. We go back to Calvin DeHaan because we have used the example from that Buffalo game several times of Calvin DeHaan looked like a guy who was playing differently because he did not trust what was happening behind him. So for you to use him as the example of here's someone that you have noticed is playing better hockey, I'm sorry. I've said it a million times on the show. I don't think guys are in the locker room tying their skates going, okay, this goalie's in net. We have to play different. But when you settle into a game and you can't get a save, I'm sorry, you do. You play different and you treat that game differently than you would otherwise. And I think that has changed. I think the attitude that they've brought to the locker room has, I'm not going to say replaced, but it's given a shot of life in the same way that a Gabe Landeskog, an Eric Johnson used to bring life to that room. These goalies are bringing it. And the level of confidence that they have instilled in the team and then vice versa, I think it's all just feeding each other right now. And I think you have very quickly, for how rapidly they turned over that goalie room, I'm blown away by how quickly this team seems to have rallied around. And those guys are just one of the guys now. Found the Chushkin the other day. We're doing the interview with Scott Wedgwood. You can go watch this from 2 nights ago in Anaheim. Right at the beginning, you see Scott Wedgwood reach over and kind of dap someone up a little bit. There's Val coming over to say, awesome game.
Oh.
He was talking to us. He was in the middle of an interview, and Val just kind of cut through it. Awesome game. Mackenzie Blackwood leans over when Scott Wedgwood gets done with an answer, and he goes, he was nasty tonight. And then leaves. Like, it's just amazing to see what it's done for the room.
And after that Anaheim game, Bednar said, like, our team wasn't there in the first period, but our goaltender was. And I was like, wow,
Yep.
this is so nice. Just hearing that is just such a relief to be able to say something like that after the year that they've had with these goaltenders. It's huge. And I have so much more to say about them that I need to save it.
Save for the pyramid. But
Well, go ahead.
games aren't always won inside the first period, but they can absolutely be lost there.
Yep.
We saw the significant challenges that were presented to this Avs team because they've been at points severely depleted. And so their ability to launch a comeback has been challenging on a given night. And they still try, but sometimes the first period deficit was too much to overcome. This tandem has kept it limited to one or none coming out of first periods. And it has put them in a position then to do what they need to do on their end to take care of getting some goal support for their goaltenders. And that's where there's maybe some heightened pressure on them now because the goalies are doing what they need to.
Yep.
It's now time for the team. That's why I like to see players like Cale Makar be named the first star of the week. You want to see the top guys continue to do what the top guys are expected to do. The execution, it isn't always there, even if the process has been good. And it's good to see a player like Makar get rewarded.
I'm going to read a quote from Mackenzie Blackwood that you got last night, Megan. Quote, and he's talking about the Avalanche here. Quote, they're a great team. They play the right way. They're not hanging us out to dry. We make those saves that they need. We're probably going to win most games. What have we talked about so much with the goaltending this year that Jared Bednar has said? Make all the saves you should and one or two that you shouldn't, and we're going to be in a really good spot on most nights. That's what these goalies are giving, and it hasn't been perfect every single night up front in terms of the goal support, but it's getting better, and you're not going to win every game. The best regular season team in history, Tampa from a few years ago, did not win every game. So it's not realistic. If the goalies are doing that, and the goal support that we know that we've already talked about here on the show is showing itself to some extent, you're going to win a lot of games. You're going to win a lot of games. Any other thoughts on the goaltending before, or other than what you guys are going to have to say about the pyramid?
Well, and just similarly, in looking at recent games that they've lost, I can live with the Vancouver loss now having the context of how sick they were. I don't look at goaltending as the issue in that game. And similarly, seeing Vancouver on their end, if it's a Kiefer Sherwood hat trick, it's pretty weird from them too. So I'm not even hanging my head too lowly over that. I think the last loss that I feel really icky about was the Utah game and then the Carolina game before it. There's a lot of games I love significantly more proportionately in comparison.
Yeah.
And it just points to a team doing a lot of the right things right now. All the small things, as Hurricane Teabag would say.
Some would say. Okay, moving on here, because I'm sure we will talk more about the goalies. For the record, on today's pyramid, I was a little bit busy, so I didn't have any input on the pyramid. So there may be some disagreement between me and these two because they did put together the pyramid.
I like how you said these two, like,
well,
it's a bad thing.
No, like it's like I didn't mean like we're all going to be squabbling over each pick. I might have some things that differ from the way that you two put it together. I mean, if you guys are arguing over where people are, you're like the worst group project partners of all time.
I mean, some of ours were very different.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I know, but you guys already. My point is, see, and now I look like I'm just yelling at you guys. You guys already did the squabbling to get to where it is.
Yeah.
Is my point.
Lots of squabbles here.
Megan, Cal Ritchie's at the WJCs.
Let's go.
Yeah. So
Team Canada.
That gets started. They have been doing a few of the warm-up games, things like that. Team Canada did make some interesting selections with their team this year. They left off quite a few first-round picks, but Cal Ritchie is expected to be right at the forefront and offensive play driver for that team. We don't have to spend a lot of time here. What are you expecting to see out of Cal? Off to a great start with Oshawa.
Well, I think the selections across the board have been kind of interesting, and I think they like to prioritize a little bit of seniority with these tournaments because there's a limited window that players can even participate in them. And so Cal Ritchie, this is his time in the sun then to really truly separate from his peers, and that's my expectation, because as he gets more elevated in his career, like I'm hoping he'll be in the American League next year, push for an NHL job again, it's harder to separate in that environment. So it's really important for him to do it among his peers where it should be a lot more possible. And he's been working on different aspects of his game to become harder to play against too. So I want to see the two-way game shine for Cal Ritchie in the WJCs.
This is one of those moments where, Jared Bednar did talk to us, excuse me, about when they sent him back to juniors. He has his orders. He knows what he needs to go work on. This is kind of the first moment for me where we knew that he was going to go back to Oshawa and really shine and stand out amongst those players. This is where, okay, I want to see what you've been doing for the last 2 months that you haven't been, sorry, I got the text. I got the answer to the question I was asking earlier. So it came in and I read it and processed it real quick and lost my train of thought. Like this will be the first time we'll get to see you against elevated competition, not the peers that we knew that you should look a clear step
right
ahead.
Like in major junior.
Correct. Yes.
This is now the best of the best of NHL caliber prospects represented country by country. So I don't want to see him just make some noise by scoring sick goals. He does that with Oshawa already. I want to see him also be very difficult to play against.
Do you think he's going to pull his move in one of those games?
I hope he does.
I hope he does too.
Yeah, they said that he was showing guys at WJC camp for it.
I think I saw that, and then I heard a few people saying that they were trying to do the move and they couldn't.
Yeah, yep.
Yeah.
I think even McKinnon said that he
did he?
tried to do it. I don't want to put that on him, and in case McKinnon didn't say it, please don't hurt me, Nathan McKinnon.
All right, so I did get an answer, by the way. This is the fourth time the Avs have had a star of the week. Nathan McKinnon twice, Mikko Rantanen once, and then Kale this week. The Avs have also had the last two stars of the month. Kale in October, Mikko in November.
I thought Mikko because of his hat trick.
So there we go. The Avs top players have been the top players a lot league-wide in this early part of the season here. Last thing I want to talk about before we get to the pyramid, and this isn't Avs related, reaching around the league a little bit here just because I want your guys' input perspective on. Actually, I'm going to take a quick side detour here. What? Why does the NHL do this? The New York Rangers and New Jersey Devils, that game's already over today. They've already played a game. The Winnipeg Jets, Mark Scheifele just got a hat trick. Why are these games? Yes, right now, currently. The Rangers were shut out 5-0 this morning in New Jersey.
Well, that's why.
And it's like, I know it's Christmas week, but like, what are we doing with 11 a.m. games on a weekday? It just drives me crazy. And like, if you're going to do that, make a big deal out of it. Market it. I was coming down here to do the show and I saw Peter Baugh tweeting like, oh, another loss for the Rangers. I was like, what? Did you know about this?
I just saw something funny about New Jersey showing a video of Kakko being drafted to like taunt the Rangers base.
So what it was they played a video because there was a Rangers watch party. They all wanted Kakko. And so when the Devils took Jack Hughes, all these Rangers fans were celebrating that they didn't take Kakko. So the Devils were playing video of all these Rangers players celebrating the Devils drafted Jack Hughes instead of Kakko. And now Kakko has been traded.
Well, I know
Jack
that context.
Yeah. And Jack Hughes has gone on to be the but yeah, they were kind of throwing in their face of, oh, you guys didn't want Jack Hughes.
Yes, I'm aware of this. That's what I saw.
Okay, yeah. Sorry. Well, I was just trying to provide context because you said no. I saw a video of them. I was trying to.
That's how I knew it was going on.
Well, no, I was trying to fill it in for everyone else.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know
I know you know.
You know why the Rangers lost?
Because
they
traded their captain.
No, I was gonna say because they lost. Matt Rempe got suspended.
No.
So what I wanted to ask you guys about.
Okay, good. I'm happy.
Matt Rempe has played 22 NHL games. He is now up to 12 games suspended in his career. And I thought 8 games was appropriate for what he did to Miro Heiskanen. I just very quickly wanted your guys' thoughts on not only Matt Rempe, but like that role of player. I think Rempe's a nice guy, but like, well, again, I guess I don't know. I don't even talk to him or anything like that. This is the type of stuff where if you're the Rangers, it's like, what are you benefiting out of having Matt Rempe in your lineup right now?
More game misconducts than points.
Yes.
I don't think that adds value because it's not specifically an issue with the role of an enforcer, but to enforce is to police the game where officiating has failed. I don't think that's what Matt Rempe's doing.
Yep.
I think he's just trying to toe that line and he doesn't know what he's doing and he's hurting people. That's different. You know, it feels a little headhunty too to go after Heiskanen, and I don't like that. I understand the importance of having somebody who is willing to drop the gloves if someone does go after your star player and it just doesn't feel like officials make the right call there. I get it. So I'm not trying to even advocate like eradicate fighting from the game, blah, blah, blah. It's just this feels different than that. It's like unhinged Jacob Trouba.
He's been ejected from 18% of the NHL games he's ever played in.
Reckless. Someone Rosamond uses in the chat. It's just reckless. I don't see the value of that. That does not move the game forward in any way. And the game is already trending in a direction of speed and skill that I think it has largely made the role of the enforcer a lot less necessary, especially with the league trying to be better about player safety and stronger in their discipline, which is why I think they throw the book at Rempe too.
Yep.
So I don't have issue with the suspension. I think they really need to figure out how they want to utilize him. I feel for the young player too, because I also don't get the impression that he's a bad guy, bad kid, but this is not going to be a long career for him if this is the way they want to utilize him.
What were you going to say?
Yeah.
You seem like you have a lot queued up here.
I do. I hope
yeah.
everybody knows I was joking when I said that when the Rangers lost him, that was a real thing, because I absolutely hate these types of players. I hate it. And I think that, yes, he's a young player, and what he's doing right now is trying to make a name for himself in the league because he's not good enough to just play hockey. And he's not. He can't even skate. He really can't.
I've seen some
weird that's coming from
clips
me.
Of some
I can't
shifts
skate.
where he's like walking into the wall.
I posted a meme this 2 months ago of him just slamming himself into the boards, and it's embarrassing to be that kind of player. And I do think I think somebody said something about the coaching staff. I do think a lot of it is because of the coaching staff,
Yes.
but I think that's just who he wants to be as a player, and I think it's really unfortunate that this is what he's doing, and I think he knows exactly what he is doing.
So I agree with a lot of what you just said. What I disagree with is I don't think he wants to be this kind of player. I think he's been told by a lot of coaches, and I don't doubt that right now he's been told by this front office, American League coaches, and probably even the NHL coaches, this is how you make an NHL.
Good job.
This is how you make an NHL career. Matt Rempe probably wants to be a good enough hockey player that he can just play in the NHL. But unfortunately for him, he's not. He's fucking 8'9", and all these coaches are like, yeah, just go out there and run guys into the fifth row.
Right.
So he sees a guy going into the boards, a player that he, hey, I can go out here and make it. And also the Rangers are struggling. So he's also being told, hey, get out there and generate some energy. Get going out there. Get us going. Go hit somebody. Go lay a body on somebody. Oh my God. You guys are going to get me canceled on this show.
Jesse has now hit me. And
I was already warned by vaguely. But the larger issue here is I think you have a player who is being told this is how you're going to make it to the NHL and how you're going to stick. Look at Ryan Reeves. Look at Curtis McDermott, who just got another extension in New Jersey. There was a line out the door for guys to talk to Curtis McDermott in New Jersey. Like, they're like, hey, you can go be a fan favorite and you can hit guys and you can fight. And this is a young player who is not learning how to play within his own game.
That's what's frustrating. To Chloe's point on coaching staff management side of it, they are not giving him any tools or guidance to toe that line the right way. Like a Tom Wilson, who I also didn't like, but I think he's figured out that side of his game now more in time, but didn't like the early iterations of Tom Wilson. And that's how I feel about Rempe. And I think the organization is failing him in utilizing him like this because it'll be very short-lived if they continue on this path.
I mean, I honestly even feel like you're looking at this. 12 games suspended, 22 career games played. Like, you are already, I think, entering into that territory because not only is he not available to you in these games, as you pointed out, Megan, in that Dallas game, he put you down for 5 minutes. He's hurting your team actively within games at worst. And that's the part where I do start to wonder. I actually had the thought, I said, gosh, I wonder if the Rangers send him down and fill that roster spot with someone else. And then you've just got this player who's in Matt Steinberg's situation, but 4 times as bad, where you've then got to call him up just for him to fill that suspension. I do start to wonder if you're 22 games into your career and you're already at the point where the league is feeling like they're needing to throw the book at you. This is already becoming problematic for anybody wanting him on their team.
I understand wanting the aggressiveness on their team, especially with the Rangers not doing as well as they would have hoped. But at the end of the day, like, these are people that have families, that have children, and you can actually hurt somebody by doing these types of things. And it's like, I understand if he wants to, get in a fight just to get in a fight with somebody, but like, these types of hits are actually really, really dangerous. Yeah. And I don't see why he should, and I'm sure the league loves it because it brings so much attention to it, but it's just, there are a lot of people saying he should be banned. I don't think he should be banned, but I don't think he should be playing in the NHL. I think he should play in the AHL, and he should actually try to be a player that's not just known for his aggressiveness.
Unleashing him on the rest of the league, Bagley's points, he could potentially end someone's career, but he could also potentially end his own.
Right.
The information that we have around CTE coming out of the recent Boston University study is bad. And so his own career is in jeopardy, and his health as a human being is in jeopardy. And I think the people around him who know better are failing him.
Well, and I will actually probably, I'll say, I'd be willing to bet, I think there's a lot of this stuff that the league does like. I don't think the league likes what he did to Miro Heiskanen.
They can't. That's one of your best.
Right. I mean, that was like a textbook, this is as bad as it gets. Numbers the whole way. Forearm, elbow into the back of the head, driving the head into the glass.
It was really bad.
It was bad. And it was like, it was like a technically sound bad hit where it's
Mhm.
like, if you tried any harder, I don't know if you could have made that more illegal.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like, and so like I just look at this. This is a player who at any level of his career has never been a big production guy. He had 1 year with the Thunderbirds in Major Junior where he scored 12 goals in 47 games, which is fine, but nothing of any note at the pro level. And it's just, I think the 8-game suspension is the league's way of saying, if you're not gonna fix this kid, we'll fix it.
Mhm.
Yeah, New York needs to step in.
Because that I think they need to step in. Someone either needs to step in and say, if you want to stay here, you can't keep doing that, or you can't be here. And I unfortunately do feel a little bit like I think Rempe's being reckless, but I also think he's probably getting some direction right now on.
Mhm.
Exactly. I don't think he
Yeah.
fully understands the gravity and knows better. I think he knows better to an extent, but I think there are people more culpable
I don't
in the
think it's that he doesn't.
organization.
I'm with you. I think he probably knows better, but I think what he's being told to do is something that he's like, oh, I don't know if I should just go out there and run around and hit these guys. But
I hope he has that thought.
if anyone has ever seen that documentary called Ice Guardians, that was about fighting in hockey and enforcers, there are absolutely coaches and managers and stuff like that who will tell you, if you want to get to the next level, you got to go out there and be that guy. And then you got a young player who's just trying to play in the NHL and is maybe being given some bad advice.
Is that how he? Well, I'm sure nobody would know this, but before the NHL, was that his style of play?
I mean, at his size, I would be. I mean, he's 6'8", 240. I would be floored if at any level he wasn't being told by a coach, you got to go out there and pound some faces.
How can you even stand on skates if you're 6'8"? No, that's actually insane.
Well, it doesn't really seem like he can very
No,
well.
he can't. He can't.
Do you guys have any other thoughts on this? I'm really curious to see what the Rangers do with this coming out of the 8 games.
I thought we were going to talk about Elias Pettersson and JT Miller and the drama of it all. We're not.
No,
we should later.
Yeah,
not today.
We should talk about the other thing too, with the Flyers interim GM, his kid.
Oh, the pushed the wheelchair down the stairs.
Oh yeah.
That was bad as well.
Not very hockey related, but
Yes.
I guess he is a hockey player.
Yes.
So
we'll talk about both those things. The last part that I was going to say with the Rempe stuff for me is like the Rangers have dropped below 500 going into the Christmas break. Like they are in free fall right now. And if like, stop putting it on Matt Rempe to go out there and fix that with his energy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like because my point is, it feels like a little bit that maybe what they were trying to do with even bringing him into the lineup was go out there and give us some juice.
Yeah.
And it's like, stop telling this kid that because he's going to go out there and get someone hurt.
It's worse when stuff like that happens too, and then the refs are escorting him out, and he's like looking at the crowd
Taunting
to
the
cheer
crowd.
for him.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah, not good. Okay. I'm sorry. Any other thoughts on Rempe?
No.
Okay. Chloe?
It's time.
Ooh.
All right.
Thank you.
Whistle
Thank you.
All right. Someone could sing the
gonna
national
hit
anthem
it.
at the Super Bowl.
Oh wow, yeah, I totally could.
Would you like to go to set number 2 over there
I
and
would.
get ready? It is time once again. We're checking in with the pyramid. Player ranking pyramid. I owe Megan a public apology.
Yes, you do.
She texted me and she was like, why don't we do the 10-game check-in? And I was like, you silly goose. It's only been 6 games. And she was like, are you a dumb idiot? It's been 11, actually. So we missed it.
It's okay to be a dumb
And then she walked up to me today and spit right in my face. It was wild.
Just a dirtbag. What can I say?
So if you missed it last time, we went through and we've got a pyramid. Is it 15?
Mm-hmm.
The top 15 Avalanche players per the last 10 game segment. We took the idea from one of the most intense youth dance coaches in the country. If you've ever seen Dance Moms, Abby Lee, right?
Abby
That's her
Lee
name.
Miller.
Abby Lee, the coach on Dance Moms reality show, coaches these young, anywhere from like 5 to like 13-year-old kids. And she gives very honest feedback, not only right to their face, but in front of the entire team on if they've been doing well, not well. And she ranks them based on a pyramid system. Hers is not good at the bottom, mediocre in the middle, doing well on top. Because we're dealing with more than 8 people at once, we have a group of players who are left off the board. They're the ones who we think are not performing well. And then we'll have a tier where it's like, you made it. You played well enough to get on the board. And then from there, it kind of goes up to maybe playing above expectations or below expectations. And then we kind of get into these are the players that are making a real positive difference night in, night out. Do we want to go over the players that weren't on the board, or do we want to lay out the board and then we can circle back to maybe a couple of the notable omissions?
We can circle back because I think there's really one that didn't make it that we want to talk about. So we could save him for last.
All right. Chloe, would you like to...
Before you start, I also just want to say that Abby Lee was made JoJo Siwa. So by us doing this, we could have the Avs next JoJo
Siwa on our hands.
I thought you were going to say that you could be the next JoJo Siwa.
You could.
You could.
You guys do know that I love big bows in my hand.
And you have some moves. You can bust a move.
I can't hit those high notes like you just were, though.
Yeah, I'm not even going to do it again.
Let's see. Do we want to go first row on Veil, or do we want to do it one at a time like we did last time?
I think we've got time because it'll be shorter. We were kind of recapping the whole season through that point in the last pyramid. This is only through 10 games, so I don't think it'll be as long. So we can still go one by one.
We started over there last time, yeah.
Is everyone ready?
Yes.
Yes.
Keaton Middleton.
Oh my God, you guys put Keaton Middleton on the list. All right, well, I definitely want to hear this. Keaton Middleton, bottom rung of the pyramid.
Yep.
Megan?
He actually is the 4th most of defensemen in terms of penalty kill time. He has eaten up significant penalty kill time in Josh Manson's absence, and it's been a very good PK throughout this month. And actually, this 10-game segment almost perfectly is the entire month of December. So I might refer to it in that way, but since getting the call-up, he's eaten up big minutes on the kill. I think that's important, more than a Sam Malinsky, for example, who is still on this pyramid and has done other things well, but I want to shout out Middleton for stepping up in that way and just being a pretty steady guy for the third pairing. He's obviously, though, last on this pyramid for a reason. He's not necessarily winning games for the Avs single-handedly either, but he's not really hurting him. There have been some mistakes that stand out in a glaring way, but I actually think he's adapting pretty well, and I haven't had an issue with him.
He's definitely... He's played above my expectations for what I thought we would get with Keaton Middleton. He, to me, still very much looks like a call-up player out there. But Chloe, what are your thoughts on Keaton?
Keaton is on my pyramid not solely, but because he stepped up in absence of Manson. And me and Megan talked about it before, but I think he adds size. He adds a little bit of aggressiveness. And then I also put that he's been pretty decent on the PK, so that's why I have placed him in my last place.
I do like the call out of the penalty kill. He has absolutely had a role in that, and it's been really solid all month long.
Yeah, I think his physicality, when in losing a player like Manson, adds back a little bit of grit and sandpaper that the decor doesn't really have represented elsewhere.
What do we got next? Next on the pyramid.
If he can survive it.
Oh my God. Everything's falling off.
Uh-oh. This is going great.
Perfect. It's Devon Toews.
Devon Toews. All right. I actually haven't seen this, and it's perfectly blocked by your laptop for me right now.
Oh.
So I'm loving this too. No, you're fine. Devon Toews. Let's hear it, Megan.
Well, This is obviously pretty low.
Yep.
I just don't think, in his, so it's actually 11 games, 6 points. It's your top pair defenseman who doesn't contribute offensively the way that a Cale Makar does, for example, but I think it just hasn't done anything in this 10-game segment to separate himself, and he is a top pair defenseman. He is a big extension here in Colorado. He's paid appropriately then to be that guy. I understand that he's not been at 100%, but I just want to see more to justify moving him up in this pyramid. Hasn't done anything particularly wrong. Another guy that is utilized a lot on the kill, and actually at 5v5 ice time has the most of any defenseman. So he's eating up big minutes. Love to see that from a health perspective, but I just don't have much to say to justify him being higher.
We've gotten really accustomed to seeing Devon Toews be pretty special on a lot of nights. And I feel like I'm with you. He's been solid, steady. But for a guy that was just given an extension in line with that of a number one defenseman, on top of that, you're going to be a top pairing defenseman for Team Canada. Yeah, you want to see a little bit more out of this player. Not bad, but can definitely be better. Chloe?
We're forgetting that we need to do
Devon.
It feels like he's struggling right now, and I don't understand why it's happening, but like it looks like he's struggling on the power play. Like physically, it looks like he's struggling, and I agree with you too. I haven't seen a lot from him for being a top pair. I know Bednar moved him last night, and I think that he was right for doing that.
I think these 4 days off will be good for a guy like Devon Toews. You want to see him come out of this break with a little bit more jump. Let's see the next one.
Okay.
Don't break it this time. Oh, gosh. Nice. Gee.
That was a good one.
That was a good one. I did like that one. I don't know how he wasn't dizzy by the end of that one shift.
Okay,
that he had last night.
Okay, that's
Evan
what I
Street,
wanted
no
to talk
spins
about.
per 60.
Yeah.
He was definitely spinning.
Megan, what do you got on Gerard? A place above Devon Toews.
I feel like in the absence of his usual D partner, Josh Manson, there's going to be then maybe a little bit of a transition
Regression,
period. Yeah. And so another player, a little bit underwhelming for me, Sam. I'm sorry, I'm pulling up my here, but big PK minutes. So I'm not going to keep him off this pyramid. Behind Toews Makar, he is the next man that has been huge defensively on the kill for them, but just 2 points in 11 games. So
and a missed penalty shot. Sam can't be missing those penalty shots.
Perfect.
Chloe, what do you got?
I would have put him higher on my list. I think he's been great. I think he's been very, very, very steady. He's been all over the place. He's a player that I notice every single game. And I think he's had so much growth this year. And I think that's shown now playing with Cale. I think he did a wonderful job last night. And then one of my notes I wrote, Spinny. And that's it.
He was spinning last night.
He was.
You'd like to see him capitalize on that penalty shot a couple nights ago, just because that was a moment where it's like, ooh, you'd probably rather have the 2 minutes, so you better go out there and make good of this. But I'm also not going to bury Sam Girard for missing a penalty shot.
People were really tough on him for his coverage in the, I want to say actually this is just from yesterday in the McCann goal specifically.
It was Mikko's guy, but I could see why people...
I just wanted to say that it was Mikko's guy. Girard was being tasked with 2 assignments when he really should have only had 1.
Yeah, he was covering the guy to the right, or
Gord.
If you were looking at the net to the right, yeah.
I agree. So I just wanted to come to the defense of Sammy G, who actually played that as well as he could. But I was looking more so at Mikko because it was actually,
The only criticism that I could really give of that is communicate a little bit better of who you're going to take, but that is not solely on Sam Girard. That's him and Rantanen. I could see why people would try to put that on Girard, but Jared McCann was not his guy.
No, Gord was.
Yeah.
And McCann was Rantanen's.
Yes. And I think Mikko was trying to cover the back post, but it's like, you don't need You don't need two guys chasing behind the net. Cover the guy who scored 40 goals last year and is wide open in front of the net.
Yeah.
Who's next?
Did you guys know that Sam Gerard's dog name is Tornado?
Tornado, yeah.
Okay, I just wanted to put that out there in case nobody knew that because I think that's absolutely hilarious.
It is funny.
Okay. Oh, this one's gonna be it.
There he is, Sam 2.0. I actually noticed last night, or I had the thought last night, that Malinsky hasn't, like, I even thought he was like a little dominant for a stretch there this season. He's come off a little bit of that, but he still just looks solid.
He does. So, this bottom row, there's this challenge of they're not necessarily there because they did anything wrong. There's guys who didn't make this pyramid. And so for Sam, here's the trouble with exceeding expectations. He did so in such an impressive way that he set a new standard for himself that I hold him to now.
Yep.
And so
I agree with that.
He actually is second most in shots among all defensemen, behind Makar in all situations. So he's shooting the puck like crazy. I think process-wise, he deserves a better reward than what he's been met with lately. So I think that's something that hopefully translates moving forward because he's doing a lot of the right things to be more of a contributor offensively. And I hope that we see that. But on the defensive side of things, he is still among the best defensive players on this team. Proportionately, he is the best. Like in terms of the minutes and the role and the matchups that he has been the best player defensively. But obviously there's, a turnover at the blue line in last night's game that kind of lingers in people's heads. And I don't like to key in too much on the mistakes that we remember, like with a Middleton who has some mistakes like that, or a Gerard coming out of yesterday's game where people felt he missed his assignment. Every player has mistakes like that you can key in on. Malinsky on the whole, though, has still been one of their best defensive players. So he belongs on the pyramid. I want to see him get back to where he was before. I think he was our third player.
I like what you were saying about, what does it say? Big Sam has had good underlying numbers, but he hasn't popped off on the scoreboard. That's the next step. Not only am I with you that I'm holding him to that same standard that he set for himself, I want to start seeing it show up on the other side of the ice as well for Malinsky.
Absolutely, because he deserves a better reward there.
For sure, yeah. Chloe?
That's what Megan said is exactly what I was going to say too. Sam, it's not, what's disappointing right now is that last pyramid you were our fourth, and this pyramid you have moved down a lot. I don't think you're necessarily doing anything wrong, but I do think, yes, you set a standard for yourself, and now we're just looking for you to get back to that standard. But what's good about this is that now that you're at the bottom of the pyramid, you can only go up.
Lowest expected goals against and lowest actual goals against of all defensemen at 5v5.
Love it. Who's next? Nice. LOC. His game has really settled in to this season so far for me. Tough start. Working back from being gone for so long. I like the way he settled in. What were your notes on why you guys had him on the highest ranking spot of the bottom rung?
It's lower than he was previously ranked, but it actually feels like he has had a better 10-game segment. There's just been cases to be made for other players in this pyramid that made it tough. But for Logan O'Connor, back-to-back points in the back-to-back, and then a goal in that New Jersey game to help defeat one of the best teams out east. He's been a monster on the PK with the second most PK minutes of anyone this whole season. And so I think he's a huge piece of the success that the kill has had this month, being the fourth best penalty kill in the month of December. I owe a lot of that to Logan O'Connor.
Chloe?
My notes are kind of the same as last time. I do want to see a little Logan. I want to see a little bit more. I think he has such consistent effort with the team, and I think defensively it looks good, but I want to see more offensively. And now that with that line, I think I love their line, and I think they've been doing well for at least the past 10 games. So just want to see a little bit more. He needs to score a goal or something and kind of break through what is going on right now.
Get back on a little bit of that streak
Mhm.
that he had last year. All right, moving up a rung here, or a step.
A rung.
I would have been cool with wrong.
I don't know how I feel about rung.
It's fair. It's fair.
Okay, hold on. I have to adjust this. Oh gosh.
We might need to come up with better removal systems.
Aww.
Parker.
I'm so sorry I cut your head, Parker.
Whoa. So this is probably the first disagreement that I've got with you guys. I think Parker Kelly's been fantastic in the last 10 games. I think he's been a little bit more than what you needed out of it in a very positive way. You look like you disagree with that.
I don't think he's there because we don't think he was fantastic.
No, for sure.
It's just he's in a very similar. Obviously, O'Connor, Kiviranta has not been announced yet. But Kiviranta's in this pyramid, and I think that's
scared to see where you. Guys
I think
put
that's
him.
where the issue lies with you, because to me, they're all kind of
Just change the
evaluated
battery.
very similarly. What they're doing is because of what they're doing together, and so Parker Kelly, another huge piece on the kill, but so is O'Connor, but so is Kiviranta, and I think what they do together supports the other. They win battles, they win pucks, and so they extend zone time together, and they can tire out teams and just make then the next shift for the next line a little bit easier, a little bit better. They've brought a little bit of energy, and absolutely Parker Kelly's a part of that. I love what he's been doing too, but I don't know.
Let the record show Megan thinks Parker Kelly sucks. Chloe, what do you got?
Okay.
No, I'm just kidding.
5 points. 5 points for Parker Kelly in his month of December.
Okay.
We're going to talk about the points totals of other players. It's just a shorthanded goal, which is excellent. In a comeback game, which has significance to then be the goal that swings the tide. I don't know. I don't think I'm saying anything bad about Parker Kelly.
No. I was totally just joking. This girl's over here spamming me last night to get me to tweet stuff about Kiviranta. I was just giving you a hard
think
time.
this is more anti-Kiviranta than it is.
No, it's not.
Anything else.
It's funny. She's spinning it on me right now, folks.
She Gerarded you.
Yeah, don't. Jesus. Go ahead, Chloe.
It's the same thing. I think he's been phenomenal. I just think that there are people above him that have been better.
You think he's been phenomenal?
Yeah, I think he's been great.
You know who else?
But
Jared Bednar said has been phenomenal.
Kivy?
Kivy.
I imagine, yeah. Absolutely.
Jared Bednar calls everyone phenomenal. So what am I
Absolutely.
supposed to do with that?
Who's next?
Wait, I had something else to say.
I'm sorry.
No, I don't remember. I think I was just gonna say he had a shorthanded goal, and I think that's a big deal for him. And it definitely has been doing very, very well lately. And I think he's been doing a lot for the team. So I hope he stays where he's at on that third line.
I have one more thing to say about Parker Kelly. He
Okay.
leads the team in shorthanded shots on the kill.
Check
So
that out.
He is,
Penalty kill heavy so far. I love it.
Yes. I'm a big PK girl.
Love that.
Who's next?
Okay. Oh, this is gonna be a tough one.
Ross Colton next on the list. Megan, why do you have Ross right here?
Well, I had to find my notes. You throw to me first for each
Oh,
one.
I'm sorry.
And it caught me off guard. I'm so sorry.
No, you're good.
Ross Colton, it's just good to have him back in the lineup. He made
Yeah.
our last pyramid and he was injured at the time, and it was because of his early season success. He's where he's at in the pyramid now because he is still, I think, getting up to game speed, shaking a little bit of rust off, and I think that second line is trying to find their identity right now. He was obviously a huge reason when it had success as to why it did. I just think he has more to give, and that's because of what he did earlier in the season. It's not even a criticism of him
Like
necessarily.
the Malinsky thing. You set a standard.
Yeah, Colton, you
Yep.
set a standard. You scored the game-winning goal in New Jersey, had a goal in the Nashville game. So he's been doing things well in his return, but those are the only 2 points that he has. So I just want to see more, Ross.
I like that assessment. Retweet on that. What do you think, Chloe?
He's pandering.
No, oh my gosh.
I said sort of the same thing. I said he's on my pyramid higher than everybody else because he just returned to the lineup. And then he's only had 2 points, 2 goals since he's been back. And I think that the power play struggling recently has also been what is making him struggle as well. So I think he'll get back there. He was really, really high up. He's the same with Malinsky. We set a really high standard for him. He was very high on the pyramid. And lately he's been I can't remember who my player was last time. That was, I noticed you, but I also didn't notice you.
Yeah.
That's kind of my Ross Colton for this pyramid.
I was paying attention last night, Megan, to them looking for him in that bumper spot because you and I were just joking. Like, it's crazy how often that works.
That worked. Past tense.
Past tense. What you got here? Arturi Lekkonen. I think this, again, 2 in a row. I like this. I like where he's placed. What are your thoughts, Megan?
Well, he has 7 points in 11 games, which actually makes me feel a little bit bad about Parker Kelly's 5 points then, because it's actually not so far off, except one is paid and expected to be in the top 6, and one was brought here to be a 4th-line winger. So this is more Parker Kelly love because I don't want Jesse to hit me again. Oh. I'm just kidding. But Arturi, the production, I think there's more to give, and that is because I think there is generally an identity crisis in the whole of the top 6. I don't think Jared Bednar has found a combination that he likes to see consistently game by game. I think that he's still figuring things out, and Arturi Lekkonen is a part of that. I'm not sure exactly his fit. He definitely belongs there, but he is more to contribute than I think that we've seen.
You want to see, and I mean, like you said, 7 points in the last 10 game segment. That's really not anything to turn your nose up at. I just want to see Arturi be more impactful night in, night out. Like, he has been a player that has at different points been able to be like a true, real difference maker on a lot of nights. Just wouldn't mind seeing more of that.
Adding on to that, Lecky, he's on the top line. Like, if you're gonna be on that line, then you have to produce a lot more. I think it's interesting that I don't know why Bednar does some of the things he does, but moving Mikko down to the second line and keeping Lecky on top, that's got to be for a reason. And I don't know if it's just because he's a playmaker right now instead of a goal scorer, but I think that if he's going to be in that spot, then we need to see him produce.
I'm with it. Last player on this tier.
Oh, gosh.
Wow, really? Val this low, eh?
Low?
Yeah.
Oh, it is kind of low.
Yeah. Yeah.
It starts getting, I mean,
I'm on.
It's really good.
I know.
We've got goalies to consider. Yeah. So this actually isn't that low.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That was more just me reacting because I think Val's been outstanding, but you're not wrong.
If you remove goalies from this, he would still be 5th best on the team, which I could see being like, okay.
I mean, I'm not.
There's one guy that I think perhaps deserved a better case. And it's, Val's not there because he hasn't done the right things. He has 10 points in his last 11 games played. And I think he's been the piece, too, that when moved makes a line better. And so I actually think that he's been a strength in the options that Jared Bednar has in the top 6. 5 goals in his last 3 games played. This is a really good player. I feel a little bad about it. And I like what he's doing.
Abby Lee does not feel bad about where we stand by this, Val.
Val, I like when you get in front of the net and you screen the goaltender. Mm-hmm. It's still providing the team with very successful results. And I really don't have any criticisms of you, Val.
I will say, without knowing what the rest of the pyramid is, I do hear what you're saying in terms of it's more of a product of there's been several players that you feel could be in line ahead of him. for me, I would have had Val a little bit higher on my personal pyramid. But I'm anxious to see who you guys have above this because of what you just said. Like, there's been a lot of players who have done a lot of good things in the last 10-game stretch. There's one that we're all going to disagree on, and I'm going to get roasted for it. But, Chloe, thoughts on Val?
I understand that the chat is upset about this. I get it. He should. This is a good problem to have for Val to be in a spot like this and to have a lot of people that are ahead of him. Val, I think he looks good. It looks like he feels good. And it's like there's nothing even in the realm of affecting him from playing the best game. And last night, too, I thought that rebound from Nate's shot was amazing. And it's exactly the type of play that I expect from him every single night.
He compliments
everybody.
What Nathan McKinnon's trying to do,
Yep.
Mikko Rantanen's trying to do.
Kale even told you about it last night in the scrum, Megan, that, like, yeah, when he's parked in the front, it makes it a lot easier for me to put pucks in the back of the net. Let's move up a tier here.
Oh, I love that. I have to be careful.
Yeah. Miko. Oh my, what did you guys do?
Things start getting a little crazy here. I must have blacked out when we did this pyramid because I don't even remember doing this.
I don't think that was a reveal for you as well. Like, I don't know who's under
whoa.
here. Yeah, you guys are gonna have to sell me on this one.
Woo.
18 points in his 11 games. 4 power play points. I just, in the same way
So hold on.
that Val, like, Mikko Rantanen
I
is
know what you guys did here. I know what you guys did.
Mikko
here.
Rantanen is staring down his next contract, right? Like, he's in the throes of that. He needs to be doing what he's doing right now. This one is what he's already paid to be doing. That's who he's supposed to be in Colorado. And he's doing exactly that, which is great. And he's making a strong case for his next contract. You want a player in a contract year to be playing the way he is right now.
Mm-hmm.
It's where it's just not like exceeded expectation for me. And when I look at some of the power play struggles, I don't think that he was necessarily the key to the solution. And I don't think that he was the one single-handedly hurting it either. Sure. But there's a different player that I credit with fixing the power play. It's not Mikko Rantanen. Again, I don't think that he single-handedly hurt it, but all of this feels very to expectation with Mikko Rantanen, and it's because he has set a very high standard for himself.
All right.
Okay. Mikko was my third, so I feel like I shouldn't be.
This is my fault. This is my
fault. All Megan's fault. Do not include.
You know what?
Whatever's
over
going
there, Georgie,
on over
with
there.
all these finger pointing over here.
You did not just call me Georgie. Well, Georgie does look like my brother, so I understand.
All right.
Miko, hello.
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry,
Jesse.
I thought you were just trying to deflect
Miko
blame and then get out.
Miko was my fourth because 5-point night, 3 hat tricks this season. It's incredible. And I've definitely had some bad things to say about Miko, and I'm here to eat my words. I'm so sorry, Miko. That's all.
I feel like there have been some defensive errors on Miko's behalf that have been a little bit lazy. Going back to the McCann goal, that it's like,
that was him for sure.
And that's where it's glaring too. It's like you are held to such a high standard on this team. It stinks to see you sometimes then being a little soft in battles along the wall, and the reason that a goal ends up in the back of the net.
You guys know what you did for him to end up here on the pyramid, though.
Yeah,
you know.
I actually do have something bad to say about Miko after you said that. He's just standing there. How many times do you catch him in a game just standing? Miko.
He got caught puck watching in San Jose.
I thought you meant I thought you were referring to like one thing where he's just standing there.
No, like you see it in a lot of games where he is just standing. You never want to catch a player like that just standing.
I just have such a different perspective on Miko. For me, he's the type of guy.
I'm just kidding.
He's the type of guy that you live with that. He's just going to do that sometimes. You're going to catch him standing, coasting, falling down, and you live with it because you know the type of player that he is and you know what he brings.
The thing is, though, if he's going to ask and try to be a $14 million player, those are not mistakes that
I agree with that. I definitely agree with that.
He should And I've never agreed with him asking for 14 million. That's just those are the
no,
few
no,
things.
but I think you make a good like it's a good point.
Mhm.
If that's truly what you think you're worth, that's 200 feet. So I definitely get that. Who's next? Is this it finally?
No,
Oh Christ!
Is it really not?
it's not.
I thought it was.
Oh, it is.
Oh, okay. All right.
I left some tape on there. That's your crown, Kivy. That piece of tape.
Here's the thing about, like you live with that with Mikko Rantanen.
Yeah.
Mikko Rantanen's going to be at the top of our pyramid. You
Yeah.
know, he's going to have opportunities to be at the top of it. How often do we get to put Joel Kiviranta near the top of our
my
pyramid? But look,
gosh.
he's maximizing his impact with limited ice time. Like that third line, again, I think every bit of their success is due thanks to each other. So it's not single-handedly Kiviranta to think too, but some timely goals. It's not just the hat trick with the 2 empty net goals that you're going to bring up.
I wasn't even going to say it, but since you meant
5 goals in 3 games. All right, you maybe don't weigh all of them the same, but they come at important moments to help launch comeback efforts or seal a game-winning goal. And I think that kind of consistency shows some growth. This is a player that absolutely was in the 13th forward conversation last year. And then I thought he was great in the Winnipeg series on that kind of
he took his game to a different level in the
different
playoffs.
lever.
Pulled a different lever to get to a different level.
Pull the lever.
Pull the lever, Kivy. And this year he's continued that. So it's not just a flash in the pan. Kiviranta, I think, has found some stability in what he is. I don't think the goal scoring is the thing that's going to be repeated, but he has already surpassed his career high in goals. And so I think he has more to give offensively than we've seen last season, for example. But he hasn't strayed from being responsible and consistent in doing so. And I'm excited for him. He compliments Mikko Rantanen in a 2-on-1. Like, that's pretty cool. He picks the right place. You have to have decent shot selection to get that puck in the back of the net past a cord. I'm giving him some credit.
I am definitely not giving him credit. I think since the playoffs last year, we've seen a different version of Joel Kiviranta than what we saw all of last year. Do I think he was the 5th most impactful player the last 11 games for the Avs? No. But I think I definitely think he's been a better player than he was last year. I think he's exceeded expectations. I was chuckling to myself last night on that goal because I was like, you could tell that Joey Decord was thinking, there is no way in hell Mikko Rantanen is going to pass it to Kiviranta. And you give Kiviranta a lot of credit. He got all of that one-timer. It was a great shot. He came up big 2 nights ago. And to me, the more impressive number is the 3 goals in 3 games, even without the 2 empty netters. Like, that's where I'm sitting there saying, yeah, he is finding a way to contribute. We talked about depth before. He's been a big part of that. Recency bias is a hell of a drug, though.
I was just about to say, maybe if he didn't have a hat trick last night, he would be a little bit lower on the pyramid. But I cannot tell you, me and Megan were screaming, like holding each other when he scored. We were going absolutely crazy. We were so excited. It was unbelievable. But to be fair, I wrote down your point. I would like to see him have a hat trick with a goaltender in it. Because while it's amazing that he had a hat trick, it's a little less impressive. But, Kivy, cheers to you, because you deserve to be where you are, and you don't need to take Jesse's shit.
Do we know offhand how many of Mikko Rantanen's hat tricks this year included an empty net goal?
I can tell you for absolute certain, none of them included 2 empty net goals.
Wow, that's a great stat.
That's
I think
fine.
It's
I'm just saying 2. If we're going to start taking away hat tricks because of empty net goals.
I didn't take it away. I said the amount of goals he scored with a goalie in are more impressive in the last 3 games than the fact that he scored 3 goals last night. I wouldn't have thrown my hat for that if I was a fan. Pull the next square. Pull the next square.
Anyway. Also, big PK guy. Sorry, how to say it.
Yes. There is a theme here, though.
There's
like,
a
all
theme.
jokes aside, PK's gotten better.
You know who hasn't helped the PK? Miko Ranton. Just kidding. I'm sorry.
Nate?
It's bright back here.
Yeah, it's bright from right here, but I can see it there.
Can you?
All right. I can see why you've got him here for the last 10-game stretch.
Whoa, you sound like you strongly disagree.
No, I've been waiting for the Kiviranta one to fall, and there's several guys who I would have had above Kiviranta. But my knee jerk was like, Nathan MacKinnon 4th? And then I sat here and kind of digested for a minute. I actually think, given who you guys, based on my deductive reasoning, have 1 through 3, yeah.
Have you realized by now that me and Megan are always right?
Yeah. Have you been texting Hannah or something like that?
Why? Is that something she would say? That's interesting.
Yeah, that is something that she would say.
That seems like if you're hearing it from multiple aspects of your life, that it's a you problem.
Notice, you know what? Megan, Nate at number 4.
Tough because Nate's playing great. And 21 points, 11 games, 5-point lead on Draisaitl for the whole of the league lead in points, which is pretty impressive. 7 goals in the last 11 games. Been pretty useful player on the power play, 5 power play points. And his points per game right now is like 1.91 in the month of December. So nearly 2 points per game all month long. That's really great. And I'm not going to pretend like, and that's what you're supposed to do, Nathan. No, that's really great. Yeah, there really isn't much more analysis I could provide. There's just some guys that have been crazy difference makers ahead of this. But
and for me, like, you know, if we're trying to compare him up against the guys that we've got above him, and I'm willing to chalk it up to the fact that I think Nate was not feeling well. He definitely had some games where the effort level was way below what we've come to expect for Nathan MacKinnon.
Don't let him hear you say
you're
that.
Right. You're right.
To your point, like, he's still been spectacular in these last 10 games. But if we are talking about the expectation, there were a couple games there where he did not seem like he had the Nathan MacKinnon jump. I'm willing to attribute that to sickness. But I actually think what's fun about Nathan MacKinnon is he would probably be one of the first people to tell you, yeah, I was shit in that game when he was still very good. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And you know what? The Kiviranta goal wouldn't happen. And let me think about this actually. Who am I thinking of? No. The Nichushkin goal would not have happened without MacKinnon picking off the broken play in the neutral zone. So he's special.
He is special. Chloe?
Is Nate in his selfless era right now?
He might be.
Seriously. No, I was writing about how I think he's had such a crazy evolution of being a playmaker now instead of a goal scorer. And he seems like he's more focused on getting the puck to his teammates than he is on like trying to go coast to coast, even though he said he does do that.
He just can whenever he wants to.
But yeah.
Yeah. No, I love that. He talks all the time about how in 2022, he discovered the importance of a 200-foot game, and he doesn't need to have the points or the goals or whatever for the team to find success. And I think that's something he's really embraced. And I do think that we are seeing a lot of the fruit of that bear right now.
A lot of that, especially in the last 10 games.
Yep. Do you want to do these next 2 together?
No.
Okay. We don't have to.
Wait, okay. Yeah, no, I don't.
Okay. This one's funny.
Okay, this one could be a little tricky.
You can't see it on the thing.
Shoot.
We'll get a picture of it up. It's Mackenzie Blackwood. We don't have an updated abs headshot for him yet.
I can take it off.
Mackenzie Blackwood. Megan, number 3 on the pyramid.
3-1 in his 4 games, 931 save percentage in those games, and 3.75 goal save above expected with a low 2.03 goals against average. He's been supported, I think, by the team in front of him in ways too. I think that they're doing things to make things a little less challenging for him, but he has been as advertised. I think there was concern around if he goes to a more competitive team, does that apply a pressure that he didn't have previously? How does he handle that? And I think he's handled it really well. He's been a stabilizing force in net that has helped to get the Avs in games early and settle things down. If there is maybe a goal against that comes through, there is an overwhelming sense that they still have a chance to win that game no matter what. And Mackenzie Blackwood feels like a really big part of that.
Chloe?
I think he's calm, collected. It's no longer scary to be on the PK because I have trust in one of our goaltenders. I think him and Wedgwood are creating a really, really good bond. And I also think that congratulations, Chris McFarland, because you won that trade for sure.
The only issue that I have with this player being here is, I told you guys before, I would have had both goalies in the number one spot. I think they've
You have to separate 1 and 2.
See, I just think that the tandem of these two have just changed so much over the last 10 games. Like, they've just changed everything about this team. I agree 100% with both the things that you guys just said about Blackwood. Stabilizing, confidence, trust. I feel like we're doing a much more... I feel like today's show, if the Avs don't have these two goalies right now, I think the show today is more of looking at the path of how they get back into the playoff picture coming out of the Christmas break.
Yeah.
And what do you have to do in the new year instead of what feels overwhelmingly positive? And yes, there's games in hand, but you look at the standings and it's like, okay, this is where we expected this team to be. Suddenly you're 2 points back of second in the division. You're really not all that far back of the Winnipeg Jets beyond. Like, it's such a different conversation. If not for the two goalies, I can't say enough good things about what these two have done in the last 10 games for this organization. So my only argument is I would have these two higher. Otherwise, I agree with everything you guys have said.
I mean, they're only like, you can't put the goalies together at number 1. You do have to separate them.
Can't I though?
Because then it's like, well, why don't we just put the penalty kill as a whole unit as number 2? You know, that's where we start to lose the plot a little.
But I even would make the argument that it is not a coincidence that the penalty kill turned around when these guys got to town. So
it's not. It's goaltending, but you can't make the goalies 1.
Sure you can. And it's
not for the purpose of a pyramid. Like, yes, for the purpose of analysis.
All right, well, I can't argue with that. But I would have had the goalies as number 1 on a special edition pyramid for this month. That's my only argument with this. Otherwise, I agree with your guys' analysis of Mackenzie Blackwood wholeheartedly.
If the pyramid was based off of how much they changed, or how much, what did you say? How much of an
impact?
Oh, is it?
If
the pyramid was based on impact, sure, but it's not based on impact.
It definitely,
what?
Yeah, like it incorporates
everything.
it. I also want to shout out this point that without Mackenzie Blackwood, Kiviranta probably does not have a hat trick, and he's maybe even still held off this pyramid. Just he wasn't on our first one, for the record. And I think it's an important call out because they might not have even been in a place to force Seattle to pull the goaltender. And I think it's fair to say that.
For sure.
And congratulations to Blackwood for being the first ever goalie to make the Guerilla Sports pyramid. He should be moved up the pyramid just for making the pyramid.
Who's next?
This brings me to our second. Congratulations.
There he is. Scott Wedgwood.
The first time in Guerrilla Sports history that 2 goaltenders have made the pyramid.
The highest rated on the pyramid a goalie has ever been. Top of every vibes pyramid, Scott Wedgwood, am I right?
Easily.
What do you got for him at number 2, Megan?
4-2 in his games with the Avs, 6 games played, .932 save percentage, 5.35 goals saved above expected. And when you look at like the rush attempts that have been allowed in front of him in games, proportionately, it's even more than Blackwood. So I think that his numbers have not only exceeded expectation, we were told we were getting a veteran backup goaltender, but he's been playing above that level because he has been under duress in some high danger situations that would challenge any goaltender, even the bona fide starters. And for that, Scott Wedgwood has to be just like a hair above Blackwood. What they're doing together has absolutely changed the dynamic of this team completely. But Scott Wedgwood deserves some individual flowers for, in my opinion, being more than what I think Colorado bargained for.
I love this man. I love him. I agree with you, Megan. I think I was one of the people that was a little bit skeptical, and maybe I had lower expectations of him than I should have. So, but ever since he's been here, I think he's been doing a great job, and I think he is a big locker room guy. And one of the things I was looking at last night was when we were in there and the media walks in, most of the players immediately get up and leave. You know what I mean? They're trying to be the first ones out there, but Wedgwood stuck around. He was talking to Kivy, congratulating him, went up to Blackwood, congratulated him on his game. He brings such a good energy to the team, and I'm assuming that his presence is like that on the bench as well. And I think that he is going to be a really, really crucial part of this team.
No notes. I got nothing to add on what you guys said. From day one, I thought he made a difference whether he was in the net or not. And then as you pointed out earlier, Megan, he has, I think, exceeded expectations a bit. Back to back? Back to back?
This is like, what does Abby Lee say? On the top of the pyramid, going 3 for 3. Super. Oh God.
Yeah, it's tall. You can step up on that step. It won't.
Can I?
Yeah.
I'm scared.
No, you don't need to be scared.
I'm sorry.
Oh, no.
Kidding. Like Sammy G.
Yeah. The first star of the week in the NHL is also the first star of the Guerilla Sports player ranking pyramid.
People are doing it's Cale Makar.
It's Cale Makar. Megan, it is Cale Makar.
It is Cale Makar. I know you've made a very good case for the goalies being at the number one spot. This is really hard because does Cale, his impact in this month, make a difference if they don't get goaltending? They're probably not winning those games and getting those points in the standing. And I think that's an important call out to the goaltending and why it's significant. I also think the goaltending support allows players like Cale Makar to be impressive like this, be the first star of the week. And I talked about the struggling power play, but I attribute the success lately to Cale Makar in large part. He has been impressive on it all year long. That's not really a surprise. There's a reason he's the QB on PP1. 3 power play goals, 5 power play points, tied for the league most power play points over the whole season so far with 19, 13 points in his 11 games. And he continues to shine kind of both ends of the ice, still a pretty smart player defensively, like kind of different from how we've talked about Taves. I think that he's still what he needs to be in his own end, but he's been a conduit of offense on the power play in particular, and he's had a hand in a lot of these comeback wins recently, and even in the lone goal game against Vancouver, with Donna Chushkin's goal, he gets an assist there. I'm just find it hard to not have him back at the top again. I know maybe to some extent that's just Cale doing Cale things, but I think fixing the power play gave him a little bit extra credit.
Chloe?
Cale, I love you. He is the quarterback of the power play, and it's his ability to make passes, but also have those moments where he just says, I'm going to do it myself. And he does exactly that. First star of the week. I think I said this last time, but he blows me away every single time I talk about him. I think he is actually changing what it means to be a defenseman in this league. And I think realistically, we're at a point where he can very well win the Norris this year.
Oh, totally. He might even still be in some MVP conversations.
Mhm.
Well, there you have it. There is the pyramid, and we will get a picture of that out so that you can all weigh in on what your pyramid would be.
But remember that me and Megan are always right.
Correct. Keep that in mind as you're building your pyramid. And so the next pyramid will come 10 more games. Maybe, 10 more games from now.
Roughly
10 more games.
Game
This one was
45,
11, somewhere in there. But we'll be breaking it down by rank every 10 games. Come on back over, Chloe, for us to round this out. We appreciate you guys sticking with us. Hour 40 right now. Longer show today. But hey, it's Christmas week. We're having some fun. So thank you guys for hanging out. Any final thoughts for today, guys, before we get out of here?
Megan's hair does look very nice today.
Your hair does look really
Thank
nice.
you
Yes,
so much.
Yeah.
it does.
Thank you.
It's a different like dew.
I don't
than
normally
normal.
wear my hair up.
Yeah, no, it looks nice.
Unlike Jesse, who just has one do and it's a hat.
It's wearing a hat today.
2 things about the pyramid. One, somebody said, send us Velcro. The funny thing is we have Velcro on the back of the pictures, just not on the white pieces of paper. And 2, yes, we did have to put Mackenzie Blackwood over Georgie's face.
Did someone notice?
We will get an updated Mackenzie Blackwood
Yes.
photo.
And Kelly. Because
Kelly.
Yeah, and that
Because
one,
I
that
kinda
was the first one that was cut.
it looks
and,
like he's waving.
and it was after we cut that one, did we then decide to not cut them out like that? So we will get a fresh one.
He's special.
Do I remind you guys, we were up at 7 Brew over the weekend. You ladies were there for their swag day, did a live show from there. Really fun, cool atmosphere up at 7 Brew, and some delicious drinks. I did notice you guys had your drinks. They were both like absolutely empty in that picture that you posted. I was like, I think it's safe to say they were pretty good.
Oh, yeah.
Someone in the chat said these two were high on caffeine. Us
Yes.
on Saturday when we were.
Yeah.
Oh, we for sure were. Yeah.
7 Brew does have over 20,000 flavor combinations on their menu. There's a perfect drink for everyone to enjoy. Stop by their newest location in Firestone, Colorado. That is their 4th location here in Colorado. And I actually think there might be some more on the way very, very soon. That's going to do it for us today, you guys. We will be back. We'll have a shorter show for you guys tomorrow in the morning on Christmas Eve. We may be from here, maybe from home. We need to get it sorted still. But we will have another show for you guys tomorrow before we officially go into the holiday break for a couple days. But that is going to do it for today. Thank you guys so much, like I said, for hanging with us for this full show. I want to give a big thanks to our friends over at Trusted American. Go to trustedamerican.com to see how much money they can save you on your mortgage payment today and see if they can help you get into a better interest rate. And if you act right now, they will even cover the cost of your appraisal up to $650 for our partners over there at Trusted American. That's Meghan Angley. This is Chloe Theil. We got Thomas behind the board today. John back there as well, making all of this stuff happen. I'm Jesse Montano. Thanks so much, you guys, and we will talk to you tomorrow.
La 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 la.